Okay, so we're gonna go back into a little bit of texture. Texture is always kind of part of light, okay? And so what I want to do is I'm gonna sketch I'm gonna sketch a circle and just do a quick refresher on what I mean by light. Okay, so if the light is coming from this direction, then there's going to be, and as I bring it like towards me, say the angle of the light comes, if the angle of the light is exactly even with this shape, like in perfect lineup, it would be there. If this arrow of the light comes towards me, like say it gets bigger, and now I can start to see like the backside of it. So the light is coming in at more of an angle. Now this changes to that, okay? And when it changes to that, still we have this side of it is the shadow side, and the genius of charcoal is in shading. So this is the shadow side here, and we can so quickly drop in a nice dark tone, separating our shadow from our light. And then at the bottom of the shadow, there, now if you're looking from this light to find out where the cast shadow goes, cast shadow now is going to be moving off in that direction. And there will be a little shadow accent, a little moment of occlusion. And as usual, if we can darken up at the transition from light to shadow, and by darkening here, we create the effect of a reflected light inside, and that starts to really increase the sense of dimensionality. And then we very gently turn up into the light from our edge. And in this way, our drawings start to become really nice and dimensional. And I'm just going to fill in a tone behind it so it's like it's lit in a dark little space. Okay, so this is where dimension comes from. And the reason that I'm refreshing you on it is because we're about to start to study texture. And texture is essentially little forms and little shapes existing on a bigger form. Okay? So here, if this was our bigger form, we could go over it. We could take and we could put a fabric circle around this. We could wrap a ring of fabric. And let's say that the ring was black. And then what would happen is this shadow would become darker in here on the black part. And as we moved out into the light, we'd still be changing our value as we move up to the light, but it's always going to be darker because it's got a darker local value. Okay? So one thing that I like to use, one thing I've been thinking about using, I'd like to use to show this to you guys kind of in a cool way, and also it goes into helping us continue our development as people who want to draw characters and people and stuff like that, is a sneaker. So I have here on hand one of these guys, and probably everybody has one of these shoes somewhere. And I'm going to use it to draw some texture. Okay, so let's start out with a basic shape. And the basic shape I want to work out of is going to be kind of a rectangle. Okay. And then the foot goes into the shoe in this, there's a hole like this, kind of an ellipse. And the shoe cuts. If I'm looking at it from the side, this side is kind of shaped like that. The outside of the shoe is kind of shaped like that. And the top of the shoe comes down. And this part of the shoe goes over like that. And we have this, the sole comes wrapping around like this. And here's the center line. Off of the center line, we have one side of the shoe, which actually in this shoe comes over that to there. And then we have the other center line, which will go here, and that would go over. Okay. Another thing that happens on this shoe is the shape of this ellipse works like that. And now the first thing that I want to do, continuing to think about it as a curve, the next thing that I want to do is I want to give it a light direction. I want to say, okay, what direction is my light going to be coming from? And I think I'm going to have my light coming from this direction. So this will be mostly in the light there. So my dark side is going to be over on this side. And it's a white shoe, so I'm not going to make it dark, dark, dark. But it's a white shoe that has some black stripes on it. The black stripes come up about right here, and they go 1, 2, there's 3 stripes on the side of it. And the first thing that I'm doing is I'm just sort of gently indicating the placement of them, because I want to see if anything needs to be changed before I go ahead and make them the value that they want to be. Okay. So everything from here on out, we can kind of start to consider texture or detail. And you can just work your way around the shoe, working on the textures and details of it. So for instance, the tongue of the shoe, I want to have it sitting in like that, because the shoe is not on somebody's foot. And then inside the shoe is in shadow. But as I get back here, the shoe thickens. And so there's this light passage right there. And the back of the shoe has this label that goes around, and it has this beautiful little cut, and then it drops down like that. and that's in black. And there's a little Adidas logo in there, so I'm just going to suggest it. I'm not going to really draw too much. So this black wants to be a little bit darker than the blacks that we have out here. And the shoe has these little dots in here. And it also, so if the light is coming this way, because the shoe has this kind of indent in here, underneath the shoe you'll see a shadow accent, but the bottom line of the shoe can be really strong right there. And there's another seam that goes like this. And this side of the shoe has a thickness that we'll see. And that's before it drops over into darkness. Okay, and then along the edge, we're going to attack the laces now. So there's a piece of leather that sits up here, and it's got a little bit of thickness, so we want to draw a little bit of a heavy line there. Now I have to erase out, clean up. Charcoal usually cleans up pretty well if you give it a good push. So again, I'm going to go right here, and I'm darkening the edge, especially over these blacks there. Okay, and now we've got lace holes, and I'm not gonna really copy the shoe. I'm gonna try to place lace holes evenly apart, okay? And I'm gonna work from understanding as well as observation. Okay, so then the other side, it's like this line goes across the form in that direction, and I get a coinciding lace hole on the other side. Okay, that's where the lace holes begin. And now, like the ribbons, so I'm going to consider the shoelace to be a ribbon. And it's got some thickness like that. And it'll go through, it'll come over and go through the hole, and the light will go off of it, and then it'll come out on the other side like this and make its way to the next hole. And when it comes out, it's going to be blocked by the edge of the shoe, and there might be a little cast shadow on it from that. And then I'm just going to work my way up the shoe with that kind of idea in mind. So I'm going to take a nice sharp tool, and I'm going to come from here and go straight over. Okay. And going to clean out the shape of the lace and give it a shadow edge. And then from underneath, it's going to go to this hole right there. Okay, so it passes under, and we want to be really kind of gentle with this. And there's going to be a cast shadow here, and there might be a cast shadow there. And then there's another one, the other side, coming to this hole right there. And now this goes through here and it's going to go over the top and come up to this hole right there. So this one will go over the top and come up to this hole. And this one will go over the top and come out to this one. Okay, I'm just going to pass one over the other. And this starts to become kind of edge detail. And then again, under and over, under and over. This one is going to come this way. And, oopsies, I think it needed to go to there. And this one will go from under there and come out here and go over. Going to pass under there. Shoelaces. Gotta try to keep them organized. And here I want to pass under. That way. And this one will come under and over to there. And this one will come over and pass to the top. And this one will come under and come out here. And here's where it comes out, right there. And I'm going to take this one and drape it down here and let it cross the floor. And like a ribbon, as it changes direction, it'll have different kind of shading. So if the light's coming from this way, as it moves upwards in the form here, then it'll turn right there. Okay, so I'm going to make this backside a little bit darker. And I want to make the side plane, I want to make this darker still. And I'm going to make the side plane kind of, I'm going to bring in a kind of medium value into the side plane. And then the nose, gently, because it's a rounded shape, it gently turns up towards the light. And then once you have something, you've sort of sketched something like that, when you have a character, it starts to become that you have that in your memory